Hold on a second, everybody. Well, you can see me now. I'm here, but my slide software is throwing a glitch again, the second time in a week. But boy, are we back. Let me try fire up these slides again. This has been quite the incredible week out there, ladies and gentlemen. And crazy stuff is going on all around the world. Let me see if this thing will pop. Technology. Yeah, we're back. Thank you all. Let me see. Where am I? This is so bizarre. Yeah. All right. Hopefully everything will be fine now. But boy, I made a video on Monday saying we are so back. And I did not expect us to be this back this fast. But so much crazy things are happening around the world right now. It is mind-blowing. Let me try. I will try to break this down because there's so many moving parts right now. And everything ties into everything. As I always say, there is connective tissue between everything that we touch in this world. And that's just, I guess, nature or whatever. But anyway, happy Friday. So we are back. There's been a major global IT crash. I just had a mini one myself. Planes grounded, media paralyzed, 9/11 disrupted, Microsoft, CrowdStrike in the spotlight. And guess what? Bitcoin is $4,500 higher than it was when I was here yesterday with you all. $4,500, ladies and gentlemen. And this story today, I'm going to try to weave together a complex tapestry of why centralized systems are bad. Plus breakouts galore. Injective, Solana, MicroStrategy, Bitcoin. It is bonkers. Crypto market cap 2.45 trillion. Volume 75 billion. Bitcoin, as I speak right now, is 67,400. This is an insane breakout. I can't even put into perspective how high we've gone in such a short window of time. Again, yesterday, this time yesterday, we were at like 62,000, 63,000. Now we're at 67.5 pretty much. Crazy. What else? Fear and greed is 60, but who cares? That's such a lagging indicator. Let's get into the story. And by the way, I still want to make sure my video works. Somebody shout at me if it's not working. But my slide software is throwing a glitch. Boy, are we back. Let me try to fire up these slides again. This has been quite $4,500. Yes, okay. I just wanted to make sure it was working because now that everything in the world is glitching, I want to make sure I'm still here. Sean Donnelly, TND Tesla, KA, thank you all for coming. Let's jump into the story. None of this is financial advice. And shout out to everybody on Patreon that make this possible every single day. T. Eng says, new Patreon member, good afternoon. Thank you for being part of the team. Boy, has it been crazy. Let's talk about the glitch first. What exactly went down and what has stopped the planet from working? This is from Noel. But the point here is there's a tech alert, window crashes related to Falcon sensor. And this really gets into the story of the vulnerability of centralized systems. You know, as I mentioned, computer systems, you try transfer money in and out of a bank or in and out of Schwab or anywhere like that. You can't today. It's death, blue screen of death everywhere. Windows failure. By the way, I stopped using Windows about 15 years ago because it was a pain in the ass and it was crap. And I didn't realize the world doesn't run on Linux or Unix-based systems. That was shocking to me. And everything is interconnected, which is dangerous. There's a colossal amount of reliance now on these centralized systems and one software vendor that's supposed to protect them in the first place. It's bizarre. But why do we care? Because this, shout out to Cynthia Lummis. Just in, Cynthia Lummis says, do you know what form of currency has not been affected by the widespread cyber outages? The answer is Bitcoin. And I've always said, Bitcoin loves a crisis. Every time there's a crisis, banking crisis, global system outage, etc., it never misses a beat and it goes up big time, which is fun. Now let's talk about the outages as well and hope everybody's okay out there. But major banks, media, well, actually media being out is actually a good thing. We'll talk about that later. Payment systems, Australian government, emergency, all sorts of issues. Sky News is off the air. That's also another good thing. You can't move money. You can't make an emergency call. It is very, very serious. The world is becoming more interconnected and more centralized and more fragile by the day. One of the things I did project for 2024 was a lot more hacks and kind of cyber ransom stuff. But this apparently is just a glitch. But it shows you why it's so easy to take the world down, which is crazy. And Happy Blue Screen Day is now what it's called. Happy International Blue Screen Day. A lot of people are checking out of work. And shout out to all the IT professionals that may have to work for the next 72 hours straight to fix things, because there is bedlam everywhere. This is a picture from The Guardian. Passengers have described bedlam at UK airport check-ins after global IT outage. I think I tweeted somewhere today, somebody in India actually hand-wrote a ticket for an airplane as a boarding pass. It's bizarre. And this is on top of community banks, credit unions being hacked in the US, car dealership systems being hacked in the US too. I mean, the world is becoming so fragile. It is literally very scary. So not only do we need a life raft, but we need like a lifeboat as well. So, and Elon Musk is joking around with Jason as well. I guess Crowdstrike doesn't do stage rollouts. And Elon Musk said we just deleted Crowdstrike from all our systems, so no rollouts at all. And surprisingly enough, the Crowdstrike stock is not affected that badly, which is bizarre. But let's talk about this. Bitcoin loves a crisis. I tweeted this morning, and that's when Bitcoin was at 65,000. It's bonkers. It's like $2,500 more than a few hours ago. So it loves a crisis big time. And other good news, it was very important for us to get above that 200-day moving average for Bitcoin. Earlier this week, I was watching that like a hawk. We got above that, but guess what? We are also now deep above the short-term holder realized price. And as I mentioned, during bull runs, if you get the dreamlike scenario of being able to buy under the 200-day moving average in a bull run, that's golden. But even just buying under the short-term holder cost basis, short-term holder realized price is also a dream. Very rare that it happens in a bull market. Thank you, Germany, for bringing that down. And a shout out to Cern Basher, friend of the channel. He had something very profound to say. And he said, security in cyberspace is all wrong. We're doing security in cyberspace all wrong. Thanks to Jason Lowry, we know that software is fundamentally an abstract belief system, which is vulnerable to exploitation and abuse. So trying to protect flawed software with more flawed software is a fool's errand. What we need is a way to protect software with actual physical power in the same way we would protect real assets like land, buildings, and gold. And basically, this is all code for, you guessed it, Bitcoin. So anyway, that's why we're here. But there's more. Let's look at a shout out to Marty Party. On DCA on Monday, by the way, we had a big active discussion regarding Bitcoin on the weekly, showing a cup and handle. Now everybody's talking about cups and handles. This is from Marty today. And per Marty's cup and handle for Bitcoin in our weekly TA segment on the weekly, get it? Targets remain about 120,600 to 127,500 coming out of this cup and handle. And by the way, he also added the importance of the event zone. US election, I think, is the 5th of November. And and he believes the target goes out to 16th of June, 2025. So again, think of the next 9 months to be a very good time. Now, HeyApollo also had a cup and handle, and his target is a little higher, 390,000 going out there in the future, again on the weekly chart. But if you believe in these signs, as some people do, yeah, it could be very real. We'll look at some more too in a minute. But in other news too, why all of a sudden, it's crazy. You know, you spend 7 years talking about game theory for Bitcoin. And then one day or 1 week or one event, and it triggers a lot of people actually thinking about game theory. This is a little article that popped out today, and it's one of the most bullish statements on crypto bullishness ever made. All right, this is from a presidential candidate, DJT. He said, if we don't do it, China is going to figure it out, and China is going to have it or somebody else. And this is discussing the game theory of adopting Bitcoin as a reserve asset. This is what we've been waiting 7 years for. Some people have been waiting 10 years for this game theory to kick in. Satoshi mentioned it at the very beginning, 14 years ago. Here we are. We could be on the cusp of something really, really big, and this is what we've been waiting for. Not that it hasn't been a bad asset at all by no stretch, but it's crazy. Anyway, let's talk about the ETFs too. Blackrock is dominating. They're the big blue wave in the middle of this chart. Purple at the top that's shrinking is grayscale, but dominating quickly. BlackRock is accelerating too. Once again, HeyApollo. BlackRock has purchased over $1 billion worth of Bitcoin this month, including $107 million today. Well, that was yesterday. That's nearly 19,000 Bitcoin. One player in 2 weeks. Okay, 19,000 Bitcoin, when only 450 are made per day. Crazy, crazy. Anyway, also, for years I've been looking at the QQQ and Bitcoin chart and the lack of correlation between, or correlation in some cases, but the crypto market defies the tech slump as Bitcoin breaks 66,000 amid Trump rumors. Hey, B-Man, good to see you. Thank you so much. But this is so interesting. Let's look at Bitcoin versus QQQ and see where we are. So the top line is the Bitcoin price, and that tealy greeny color is the QQQ. And basically, year to date, this is from just year to date only, you can see we had a massive rampage up until May. And it's hard to believe it all happened in May. Then it's been chopping sideways for nearly 90 days, because that's what happens after the halving, which happened on April 11th. And since then, year to date, Bitcoin is up 51%, QQQ is up 18%. But what's important as well is the divergence between both. So QQQ has basically pooped the bed at the same time that Bitcoin started to recover. That perfect inverse correlation is money right there. So important to watch and so important to look at. Let's look at the ETFs. And sorry, there's a ton of stuff to cover today, so this will be, I don't know, 45 nuggets or so. But it's all good stuff. ETF macro update, day 10 of gainers, 10 days in a row of positive flows, huge amount into BlackRock, and they are accelerating. And this is what I call stage 3 of ETF accumulation, just begun, and it's going to be good. Now, switching gears, let's talk about some other news too, because many things are breaking out. We have to try to get to the reasons why. First of all, this is Solana, again on the weekly, just like the cup and handle for Bitcoin, but this is from Captain Fibek, and Sol is on the verge of a massive bullish pennant breakout. Again, if you believe in these patterns, this is bullish. And they warn, as Marty has been warning, accumulate before it's too late. Kind of nice, a nice ring to it. And the target here per this chart is $1,000, which I think is very high. Let's see what our models say about potential Solana targets. Remember, we were buying this thing hand over fist at $8 not too long ago. And now we're looking at it here. And the LILO model, Solana, as I speak, is about $170. Let me just check on the exact price of that too, because a lot of things were up huge today. Solana, $170.46 on the nose right now. But this is the LILO model that projects out potential targets based on history, based on layers, based on momentum, based on targets, based on et cetera, But currently level 10 is projected 571, a lot less than $1,000 per the previous chart. And level 8, I do believe now is highly attainable at $403 per this model. We normally get to level 8, and this is instrumental in a new model we have coming real soon, and why it's so important as well. Either way, getting to my original bull target for Solana last year was 360. Looks like 400 is now possible as well. Maybe a lot more, depending on Fire Dancer, depending on the Sol ETF coming in 2025, depending on many other factors too. Now, speaking of the black hole, thank you, BitBuyer. Solana now does 30% of all DEX volume. Again, it eclipsed this a few days ago. It did it again too. And this is across all blockchains. And there are hundreds of DEXs. Again, one chain to rule them all. It's pretty much the way it's working out, which is good. And Jupiter is back. Jupiter reclaims the dollar level. It did dip down a lot in full disclosure. I do own Jupiter as well. And they're back at $1. And this one is also helping Solana take over the whole DEX world. Jupiter is a DEX aggregator, so it manages a whole bunch of DEXs beneath its umbrella and helps people find the best trades to do all sorts of things, limit orders, perps, etc. And I use it a lot, and I love it. Now, speaking of another asset, Injective, I also own this, but this took me by surprise. 21 shares. They are now launching their Injective ETP, and the fund represents a significant milestone in Injective's efforts to integrate with the traditional financial markets and institutions. This is a game changer. We're having these ETPs being launched now all over the world for what are considered relatively small assets, but it's a sign of how widely adopted crypto is becoming. So super exciting too. Now let's look at Injective on the LILO model because we're here. And again, there's a reason I still hold it. Level 8 is the level we need to look at. That is a current target of $53. The price right now is about $27. And you can see how it bounces around level 3. I have a lot of levels hidden, so it doesn't look like too much of an eye chart. There's 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 8 is kind of the target level for people to start considering maybe taking profits. That's $53. But it could go all the way to $75, $74, which would be level 10. But we'll see how bullish this bull market is. But what I have to stress again, I've said it 1,000 times, a rising tide floats all boats. So as Bitcoin goes up in value, the crypto market cap goes up in value and everything else will go along with it. This could be a crazy, crazy bull run. And I was feeling very, how do I feel? Sometimes I get the urge just to write, and I wrote a free Substack yesterday. Check it out on why this could be a special bull run. Now, in hacking news, not only outages of global systems, but WazirX explained in its report that an incident saw one of the firm's multi-signature wallets send funds to non-whitelisted addresses. And the firm says this happened because a whitelisted address was shown on the interface of multi-signature asset custody platform Liminal, even though funds were really being sent to a different address. This might seem to suggest that the client device used to access Liminal multi-sig asset management platform might have been breached in order to display a different address. So this is one thing you always got to watch for. Always double, triple, quadruple check your addresses. Always send a tiny, small test amount first. And don't be spoofed. Don't be fooled. Don't be tricked. So be careful. That's nearly $250 million gone. Apparently by North Korean hackers too, by the way. Now, this is kind of another crazy story. MicroStrategy. I tweeted this earlier this morning that MicroStrategy is up 40% in 14 days. Well, now it's up over 50% in 14 days because it just shot too high. I can't even. It's really hard to think about how this has been crazy. To put things like I can't even keep up now. MicroStrategy is up $221 today. $221, and it's not even stopping yet. We got 6 minutes left of the market being open. And we are in SLs at $190 strike for only $9, and we sold calls against those, reducing that call space to nothing. So this is now $228. I wrote this up only 196 not too long ago. If it's just 196, that's 2,200% in a day. But it's a lot higher than that now. And this is return on investment in a day. So I did warn you, there could be dancing. So this is the fun, whatever, the gif of the guys dancing, celebrating. And it's, what a time to be alive. What a time to be in these crazy, ridiculous markets that just keep on giving. Remember as well, MicroStrategy has a 10-for-1 stock split coming real soon, August 7th. And the shorts are getting completely toasted. Now, speaking of MicroStrategy again, shout out to Josh too. MicroStrategy was at 306 last time I shared this chart. Now it's ranked number 281 out of the top S&P 500 companies. It's only a matter of time before they get added. So not only will we have the tailwind of what I call the pre-run stock split, but on top of that, you're going to have this addition to the S&P 500 that will force every money runner on the planet to stack MicroStrategy too. And at the same time, Bitcoin's going to the moon. It's like, imagine not being invested in these things. Imagine how sad you would be. Anywho, let's look at Bitcoin miners too, because that's an interesting part of the game as well. The WGMI, which is just a box of a little fund of different Bitcoin miners, it's now catching up to Bitcoin. So Bitcoin is up, as I mentioned before, 51% for the year. It's actually higher now. And WGMI is up 41%. There was, again, that massive deviation in the middle where the miners suffered terribly up to the halving. And now they're in that post-halving recovery. And the winning miners will do very well. When you have a miner that mines a Bitcoin at $41,000 and the Bitcoin price is $80,000, their profits will be to the moon. So anyway, that's the Bitcoin miners. And shout out to Anthony Power. He made this little tweet today. BitDeer, the new SealMiner technology is unveiled, beginning with Seal 01 at 18 joules per terahash and progressing to the Seal 04 by 5 joules per terahash by Q2 2025. Basically, you want a lot of terahash for very little joules, and that's exactly what's happening here. Hey, Piper, it's good to see you up there in Canada. Hope all is well. So this is an interesting play. BitDeer I find fascinating because they have 5 separate lines of business. Making ASICs is just one of them. They also have some HPC exposure, which, as we know, during this AI revolution will be very important as well. And back to mainstream media and their desperation. Tesla car registers from Reuters, by the way. Tesla California car registrations fall for a 3rd straight quarter. It's incredible that they can get away with this. These are California registrations, okay? From Q1 2023 to Q2 2024. Does that look like it's falling for the last 3 quarters? Nope, not at all. So anyway, take things with a huge grain of salt when you read anything in the media, especially when your Reuters and your business is really being hurt by a thing called X. Obviously, Elon Musk becomes persona non grata for sharing truth. And now you're seeing mainstream media trying to lie more, which is really awful. Anyway, but maybe Reuters, sometimes they're very good. Sometimes not so good. Sometimes they repeat the wrong stuff, but not as bad as CNBS. Now, ICE is dying as well. You won't hear Reuters say this too. This is from AJ. Tesla BEV market share jumped back over 20% market share in June 2024. Tesla BEV market share increased by 0.6 percentage points. And what's also important is Tesla's total car market share increased by 19 basis points to 2.24%. That's total car share on the actual planet. It doesn't sound like a lot, but ICE is dying. We are way beyond peak ICE, and BEVs are increasing in adoption. And this is globally. Most of the world runs off gasoline and diesel engines, but it's all about to change real fast. And we're at this major tipping point as well. This is from a company called Volvo, and this took me by surprise. In Q2Q 2024, Volvo's EV production cost dropped for the first time ever below their non-EVs. This is a big deal because you can see how the price started to drop after Q3 2023. And in most recent quarters, the average Volvo BEV just cost $30,500 to make. Their gasoline cars and hybrids cost $31,900 to make. So when you have an electric vehicle that doesn't require any service, any oil changes, any fuel, it doesn't require any repairs or anything like that, the total cost of ownership is crazy. I have a Model X. It's over 5.5 years old. I just had to change the tires for the first time. That was the first cost I've incurred. And I can drive 100 miles for about $4 of electricity. Think about that. Now, my previous car was an X6M, which used to burn about 15 miles to gallon, whatever that is, liters per 100. It's very thirsty. Anyway, there's more news. There's a bit of a macro section here. Unemployment uptrend. This is from Econometrics. The unemployment rate is on the rise in the US latest print at 4.1%, and that's back to 2018 levels. And of course, 4% is good in the old days, but what is important is this trend. This trend is rising fast. The sustained rise of unemployment rate typically means the US is in trouble. Okay? You've heard me talk about the SAM rule, SAHM rule many times. The macro is ugly, And that is indicative of a recession coming fast. That's why there's a 100% chance that the Fed will cut. And I hope they are not too late. But they can always print a ton of money, which they will too, to inflate the economy again. Speaking of money printing, here we are. This is good for Bitcoin too. US M2 money supply year-over-year change, not a straight spike, but the year-over-year change. We are now above the level that we hit last back in 63 or 83? I can't read the numbers. Anyway, it's a long time since we crossed through this chasm again. But a lot more money printing is coming. Remember, we're just about to hit 35 trillion in debt. The deficit's going to be north of 2.5 trillion. And we're spending 1.5 trillion on interest, probably this year, on debt. 1.5 trillion, which is double the military budget, which is huge in this country as well. And it's not the only group printing a ton of money. This is from Beelzebub. Domestic liquidity is ranging while global liquidity is really spiking to life. This is the China's People's Bank of China liquidity injection in the little yellow marks. There's a couple of things in this chart that are highlighted in green. One is the Julys every year. They never, ever, 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 ever add liquidity in July. Well, guess what? They just added a truckload to the third highest liquidity punch ever. And there's a lot more to come. This is what HeyApollo calls more cowbell. It's crazy. And this, we can't draw a direct line between this and the price of Bitcoin going up. But eventually it trickles through the system, like trickle down economics into Bitcoin and risk assets. So it's good. And speaking of China, Chinese are dumping the dollar hand over fist. Katusa Research said the Chinese investors sold a record number of U.S. stocks and bonds in May per Bloomberg. Chinese funds offloaded $43 billion worth of long-term U.S. securities with treasuries, accounting for more than half of that. So what's going on with the dollar? Do you want to be holding some dollar? The Chinese certainly don't. What are they going to hold instead? When? Could. This is the story of this piece. Let me try to pull it up. It's probably the most bullish thing you'll ever see. Bitcoin Game Theory. This guy said, if we don't do it, China's going to figure it out. Chinese are already dumping treasuries hand over fist. What are they going to replace with? I know they're buying gold hand over fist too. The Chinese biggest bank in the world, IBIC, said gold has problems and Bitcoin solves those problems. So anyway, good times. I'm excited. I hope you are all too. Hit the like if you learned something new. And I didn't mean for that to rhyme as well. Thank you all. Thank you to the mods in chat. Thank you to Piper and K8, Sean Donnelly and TND Tesla, and all the thousands of people watching here live. Have a great day, everybody. Hit the like on the way out. We got to get this message out. Time is running. Systems are breaking. People need that life raft. That's why I make these videos every single day to try, hopefully, save a couple of souls along the way. I did not mean for that to rhyme either. It's just, I should have become a professional rapper. Why not? Anyway, thanks all. Bye.